Hello there.
The greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing the world he didn't exist.
I said it before and I'll say it again. Life moves pretty fast. You don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it.
Keep the change, you filthy animal.
It's the Al Travis Show. We're looking to have our next guest on. He's the American Experiment's president, John Hinderaker. John, how are you doing, my friend?
Doing just great. Enjoying the summer.
Yeah, it's going by way too fast. I mean, we're already in mid-July. Let me ask you this before we get to the big, beautiful bill. Elon Musk has now come out and thought about creating a third party. I think rightfully as a conservative that I don't think this big, beautiful bill probably has done as much as a conservative would seriously like it to do, whether that can happen and realistically, whatever. But do you think he really believes in a third party that it could work? No third party has ever caught on in 250 years. And could it just be the end of the Republican Party if you split that vote?
Well, it's a silly idea. I doubt that it represents the end of the Republican Party, but it certainly could elect some Democrats in some close races. No doubt about that. Yeah, America's always had a two-party system, and we're very different from the Europeans who have parliamentary forms of government, and typically they'll have a bunch of parties, 6, 8, 10, 12 parties, and that'll get some representation in parliament. And so they're always trying to cobble together coalitions because no one party has a majority. I think our system is a lot better. We don't have a parliamentary prime minister who can rise and fall on an unknown timetable. We have elections every 2 years, every 4 years, and two parties. And as a result, the parties have to be big tents. You can't have you can't have a single issue party and get anywhere in the United States. The parties, and you can see that from the names, Republican, Democrat, they're big tent parties. And so all of those are reasons why third parties have really never gotten anywhere in American politics, and I hope never do. So it's a very silly idea to form this third party. Musk, it's kind of funny that Musk just fall off a turnip truck. I mean, seriously. I mean, did Elon just recently realize that the federal government spends way too much money?
I think he gets upset as a gazillionaire. He goes in working for free, and I'm going to show you the cuts. And all those cuts that he showed did not happen. I think he's just really ticked off as a billionaire.
They haven't happened yet. There's a rescission bill coming. This is the reconciliation bill. I'm not sure if Elon really understands the legislative process here. This is the reconciliation bill. There are more budget cuts coming in a rescission bill, which is going to follow. But the reality is that the executive branch can recommend spending cuts or spending increases, but the executive branch can't spend money. The money has to come from Congress, and so Congress needs to appropriate less money, and getting Congress to do that has never been an easy task.
Never happened. It doesn't happen very often. Well, let me ask you about the big, beautiful bill, because depending where you read and who you follow, there are going to be deaths in the street. You know this, John. We conservatives want this. Deaths in the street. Little old ladies are not going to get fed anymore. All this bad stuff is coming, including Governor Walz coming out and saying we might need a special session to fix the problems that are going to become Minnesota's way. My question to you, does Minnesota even need a special session? And let's just say this cuts $1 billion out of what's going to come into Minnesota. Let's say that happens. Don't we have $3 or $4 billion in the rainy day fund? So there's no real reason to race everybody in, take some votes. Just do it in February when you come back.
Well, I think that's right. I mean, I don't think there's any reason for a special session other than political grandstanding, which of course, is always a factor. They should address this when the legislature convenes in January. But let's talk about it. Because unfortunately, there's very little in the big, beautiful bill in the way of spending cuts. But one thing they did address was Medicaid. Medicare and Medicaid are the two things that are breaking the federal budget. That is where cuts have to be made or our children will be bankrupt. That is not an overstatement. Okay.
No.
So what did they do on Medicaid? They did two things on Medicaid. Number one, no illegal aliens. Well, no kidding, Sherlock. I mean,
Well,
yeah.
let me ask you on that, John. When do
Everybody
you
that's supposed to be here,
do you
registered and enrolled for free healthcare? It's insane.
Now,
And then
John,
the second thing, the
go
second
ahead.
thing they did is a work requirement. If you are an able-bodied man, between 20 and
I think it's 30,
54
yeah.
or something, you have to at least pretend that you're looking for work, or you got to be a student, or you got to volunteer in your. You got to do something, right? The threshold is very, very low. That's all the big beautiful bill does. And by the way, a number of states used to have work requirements for Medicaid, and they were abolished by executive order of Joe Biden and other programs like SNAP, food stamps. They've got work requirements. So the idea that this is, oh my God, this is terrible, it's just crazy.
Bill Clinton used to say it had been 30 hours of work, 30-hour work requirements to get on it, and now we're at this, and they're crying. But what I don't understand is who signed the bill? When was it that said illegals could get Medicaid? We're trying to sign this thing like we're trying to make a bill saying you can't. When did we say they could? When did that happen?
It's beyond me, Al. It's beyond me. But Minnesota is one of the states where illegal aliens do in fact get enrolled in Medicaid and do receive free health care, unlimited free health care at taxpayer expense. And just like they receive free college at taxpayer expense. They're illegal. It's illegal for them to be here. Nevertheless, Minnesota will happily enroll them in these programs and shower them with taxpayer money.
You are a world traveler. You're out there and doing stuff. I don't know. Name your second favorite country. If you're going to go somewhere, where would it be?
Oh, I don't know. I love every country I've been to, Al, to be honest. I mean, you want to meet people talk about Minnesota nice, which I don't really buy. You want to meet a lot of nice people, go to Japan. There's a lot of nice people in
So
Japan.
let me ask you this. You go to Japan, you're staying there, and you decide not to come home. Does that make you a citizen? And will Japan take care of your health care needs for life if you're just there and you're not leaving? And you haven't done anything wrong, John. You just didn't go home.
Al, there is no country in the world crazy enough to do what we do. Try doing it in Mexico. If you're starting out in Guatemala or Honduras, you notice they never stop in Mexico. Why not? Well, no free health care for illegal aliens, or nothing for illegal aliens in Mexico. They'll kick you out if you don't cross the border and come into the United States. I mean, it's just absolutely insane what we have done.
Well, and let's let the insanity continue, because I'm going to lead in with this. I'll talk to you on the other side of this break. The Walz administration has now tried to defend that they spent $430,000 on an outside counsel group, K&L Gates, world-renowned law firm for immigration law. He had to go to Washington and talk about his immigration policies to see if they fit in, what's legal, not legal. He spent $430,000. He's got lawyers in his own office. He's got an attorney general's office and nothing but lawyers. We got the University of Minnesota. We give them $500 million a year. Maybe we could borrow a lawyer from them to say what's going on. He spent that money with his outside group, and now he's trying to defend it. It breaks down for an 8-hour day in front of Congress. I'm doing the math. About $90,000 an hour, some crazy number. We'll talk with John about this. Shouldn't we all be a little upset by it?
Think about it. Now that school's out for the summer, how are Minnesota students doing? Not very well. Minnesota ACT scores fell again last year and are the lowest they've been in 10 years. In fact, fewer than half of Minnesota students can either read or do math at grade level. Think about it. We used to brag about our schools. Now we're losing to states like Mississippi. Visit AmericanExperiment.org for more information. Think About It is brought to you by Center of the American Experiment, Minnesota's think tank.
Achieving your financial goals requires individual planning and a comprehensive approach. At Midwest Money Management, our mission is to provide you with the knowledge, tools, and confidence to feel comfortable financially today and secure about tomorrow. Learn more at MidwestMoneyManagement.com. That's MidwestMoneyManagement.com.
Securities offered through JW Cole Financial Inc., member FINRA and SIPC. Advisory services offered through JW Cole Advisors Inc. Midwest Money Management and JW Cole Financial Inc. and JW Cole Advisors Inc. are unaffiliated entities.
Easily offended? The Al Travis Show is not for you. The Al Travis Show. All sides are welcome.
We've got him, John Hinderaker, on the program with us. John, so they spent $430,000, not even on a Minnesota law firm, some fantastic law firm that's so much smarter than the rest of us. He has a staff of lawyers who help craft these bills and tell them what's going on. You're going to Congress, it's got to suck. I'm not lying. But if you just don't lie, just tell the truth when you're sitting there, nothing's going to go wrong for you. Why are we paying $500,000 in legal fees?
You know, I once testified before a congressional committee, and I didn't pay anybody to help me prepare. But
What?
I'm just a piker. Al, this is unbelievable. As you know, I was a lawyer for 41 years. When I retired, I was a senior partner in the biggest law firm in this part of the world. You know, now a global law firm with 1,700 lawyers or whatever it is. So this is a huge bill. I mean, this is just a shockingly
$50,000, by the way, $53,000.
Let's assume that the average billing rate was $1,000 an hour. Now, our listeners probably think that's shocking, but let's just assume it $1,000 an hour, 430 hours. Now, what in the world did they do for 430 hours? This all had to take place within about a 2-week period, right? I mean, Tim Walz gets word that they want him to testify in front of a congressional committee. It all had to be done within the space of about 2 weeks. Well, 430 hours, that's 8 full work weeks, assuming you didn't do anything else. I suppose maybe they spent a full day actually meeting with Tim Walz to prepare him, right?
Yeah.
Well, there's 8 hours. Okay.
Well, it's by the lawyer. 10 of us showed up.
Maybe they had 3 lawyers in the meeting. Oh, that'd be 24 hours. I don't know what in the world they could have done to get to 430 hours at $1,000 a pop. I would love to see that bill.
Well, and do we get to see that if we're going to pay for it? Is that something that would be itemized, or is it just a line item, 430?
I don't know.
That'd be great.
Well, it certainly better be itemized. I mean, when I send out bills, when lawyers send out bills, generally they're itemized down to the 10th of an hour. As a lawyer, you keep track every 6 minutes of what you're doing. Yeah. And all that detail shows up on the bill. Now, whether they're going to make it public, I don't know. It might take a Data Practices Act request, and then they might say, well, it's an attorney-client privilege. We won't show it to you. I don't know. The whole thing is just absurd.
Is this sad for me to say, and again, I'm feeling kind of bad about it. It's just all hypothetical. If the governor, who says if he runs for governor again, he'll have the biggest war chest ever, more money you've ever seen, because he's got all these bigwig now friends, might actually be true. Would it seem interesting if this K&L Gates law firm or the people in the law firm donated to either his presidential and or governor's run? Wouldn't that seem a little weird?
We see that, Al. We see that with the state pension plans. Turns out that the people who are being paid huge fees to manage this money, and they won't give you any information about how are they doing, that's a secret. Turns out that they are major contributors to the Democratic Governors Association. Well, what was that? That's Tim Walz. Who chairs the committee? Tim Walz. Minnesota has become such a corrupt state that it is hard not to speculate about whether some of this money may be coming back home to Minnesota.
Well, I hope very much that somebody keeps an eye on it, is all I'm saying. Let's hear this last story. Feeding Our Future, you guys at American Experiment have been on top of this thing like nobody's business. Klon he should get a PhD in this whole thing. This first guy, key figure in this thing, in for $47 million, already been found guilty. His sentencing's coming up on 23 fraud charges. Could be 30 years in prison, 249 pages of exhibits. And this guy's going, please have mercy on me, Judge. He's throwing himself on the mercy of the court. Your thoughts on this cat?
Well, last time, instead of throwing himself on the mercy of the court, he tried to bribe one of the jurors. So this guy is being sentenced not only for stealing, I forget how many millions from the taxpayers through the Feeding Our Future fraud, millions that was supposed to be going to hungry children, ostensibly. He's also pled guilty to trying to bribe a juror in the case where he was prosecuted there. So this guy obviously deserves to have the book thrown at him. Yeah. He's typical, by the way, of the defendants in Feeding Our Future. So in their sentencing report, the prosecutors point out that using this stolen money, he bought a Porsche, a Tesla, a GMC truck. He bought real estate in Kenya, which is where he's from, Kentucky and Minnesota, and he sent money to a number of foreign countries, including China, which I find rather interesting.
Interesting. Yeah.
So whatever sentence this guy gets, it's not enough.
All right, fair enough. How are things going with your summer tour, the Minnesota Doge Cut the Waste, Save the Budget tour? Because you've got a great one. You're going to do one here in St. Cloud today, right?
I am driving up to St. Cloud this afternoon. You're exactly right. That's going to be at 5 p.m. Let me just click on it here so I can tell people where to go. It's at the Iron Street Distillery.
Oh, there you go.
On East St. Germain Street. Doors open at 5. Program runs from 5:30 to 6:30. I'm driving up there, and I'll look forward to seeing any of our listeners who want to show up.
5 o'clock this evening. Also, you're going to be in Maple Grove, right? That's tomorrow, the 11th. You're in Marshall on the 14th, as well as Wilmer, and then Rochester on the 16th. How are these tours going?
They're going great. We're drawing big crowds, and the crowds are really engaged. You might think that talking about Minnesota's budget, and in the presentation, we talk about places where it could and should be cut. We itemize $4 billion in spending cuts. And you might think that's kind of dry stuff, but I'm telling you, Al, I've rarely seen audiences so engaged, paying such close attention throughout the presentation. So it's been great.
Fantastic. We'll get people out there as much. If you don't know where to go to AmericanExperiment.org, look under events, and you'll see it. One last thing before I let you go. I believe she's your daughter, maybe daughter-in-law. Daughter and another young lady are doing these American Experiment podcasts. They're very good at that. Where can you get them? I mean, obviously on your website, but who are these two gals?
Well, one of them is my daughter, Catherine Hinderaker, now Johnson. She got married about 3 weeks ago, and Grace Keating, and we put them in charge of the podcast. I don't know, 4 or 5 months ago or something, and it's really taken off. People enjoy hearing a couple of young women talk about the news, and then of course we do serious interviews too.
Sure.
But you can go to AmericanExperiment.org, and if you click where it says podcast at the top there, you can watch any of the weekly podcasts. We upload all of them to YouTube, as well as Spotify and Apple Podcasts and so forth.
All right. They do a great job, by the way. Just for a guy who listens once in a while, when they pop up this one, Walls That Wants 4 More Years, just a great podcast. I really do enjoy them. And then it's funny, I'm an old man, but it's interesting to see what two younger gals think about all this. And they're very candid. They're very good at what they do.
Well, thank you very much. Appreciate it. And they're starting to give, they're on the radio now, too. They got a regular gig on radio show here in the Twin Cities. John Justice's show on K-Talk. They guest hosted for John one day last week.
Wow, good for them. Fantastic. All right, I got to fly. I'm out of time. Appreciate you, Mr. Hinderaker. As always, we'll do it again next week.
Great to be with you.
John Hinderaker with the American Experiment. AmericanExperiment.org.
Think about it. A famous politician once said, "You're entitled to your opinion."